amazing! There they go! There's Shadow and her tiny little cub. So excited. They're actually heading onto Treehouse Dam, and very likely they're heading off for a drink. Let's go have a look. A firm, but just so that everyone's aware, there are already 3 vehicles in this area. Alright, so she does seem to have a bit of a limp, but doesn't seem too bad, to be quite honest. I'm sure she is on the mending way. So exciting! Woohoo! Oh, I'm so excited. No, hang on, I can't go too fast, Senzo. Alright, sorry, Senzo. Watch out here. I'm sure... I think you called it, Senzo, because when we came to do the GoPro, you were saying, oh, Ingwe, so maybe you actually called the 2 of them. Now, I'm going to try go around, because they're coming for a drink. But I'm going to go around them. Hello, beautiful girl. We shall be back in 1 second. Alright, so you were wondering about Bundu bashing? This is proper Bundu bashing. Alright. Alrighty, there we go. Bad time. There we go. Whoop, I just fell. Awesome. Look at them. So pretty. Yeah, there's myself, Mike, and another vehicle here. You can take standby 1 if you're interested, or Rex. Don't remember, sorry, who wants to come. Alright, sorry guys. Seems like there's a bit of confusion on the radio because they're not too far from where the lions are, so it's kind of in the way for everyone. And considering this is the only water source, a lot of animals are going to come around. So luckily we can stay here for a little while, considering that we actually are the ones that found them, and I'm very, very happy about it. Look at those pretty white tails. Hello, pretty tail. Beautiful. Now, it seems like she got them all the way. She went to Little Gowrie to fetch the cub. That's where she left it. And then she's come all the way back. And she was actually quite quick, considering that block and when we got the reports and the time that she's managed to come around here. So beautiful. So beautiful. From Abel, I've been trying to call you. Seems like there's quite a bit of chatter on the radio. So beautiful. Abel, there are 3 movers here. You can take a standby 1 for now. Alright, sorry. Now, all my attention is on this beautiful girl and this amazing experience that we're having with the 2 of them having a drink. It seems like there are a lot of vehicles around. It is a long weekend in South Africa, so lots of people are around in the bush, but luckily it seems like it's a family day for everyone involved. Hello, little one. So happy to see you. She has grown so much in this last few weeks that I haven't seen her. And there's Shadow. It does seem like she's putting some weight, so I think she is actually recovering and starting to get a little bit better, which is very, very exciting. Because obviously we don't want them to be hurt or anything. You're becoming so big. Dad, you're saying that the cub has grown up so much. I completely agree. I think it's starting to become a young leopard and no longer a tiny little cub, as they say. So clearly they're going behind us. Hello, beautiful things. Where are they going? Alright, I just want to see where they're going. Because obviously I don't want to move around and then just get on them. try and get out of here now. All right. They are mobile now, heading north from Treehouse Mati. Alrighty. Let's follow them around for a little bit longer. How fantastic. I'm so happy to see them. And like I said, I think she's morphing now. She's no longer a tiny little leopard cub. I think she's just now starting to become a young leopard, because she's grown up quite a bit, and her body just doesn't seem the body of a tiny little leopard anymore. Don't you think so? Very pretty. There they go. Let's just go. Where are you going? Richard, you're wondering how old Shadow's cub is. So, I'm actually not 100% sure. I think she was born roundabout either January or February, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's probably the time, because I remember we saw her in Easter, or Easter Sunday, and she was quite tiny. Alright. This is going to be a tough one. Tenzo, we can do this, right? Alright. This is the easiest way in. There we go. Alrighty, it seems like everyone's left us now that they've gone into the thickets. Woohoo! So we get more time with them. Hello, beautiful girls. And again, at this time of the year, I think it's when you can really appreciate that camouflage of the leopards. I mean, look at them walking in front of us, and they're virtually invisible, particularly the cub. If you see the way that it's walking around, you can just see nothing, pretty much. I know where to look for, but imagine just how easy it would be just to miss them, especially now that she's gone behind there. So very beautiful, solitary creatures, very hard to spot them. Now, Shadow, watch where you're going, because I don't think those lions are too far away from here. We were wondering this morning, actually, funny enough, if she had a kill somewhere. Alright, seems like it's an all-rounder cat day for all of us. And while we try to figure out where these two beautiful girls are going, because it seems like they're going to be heading into an area that's a bit more difficult to follow through, let's head over to Taylor, who's also managed to find some beautiful cats. Here they go. They've carried on going, I think. There's been a bit of a few tough spots, but they've carried on. So I wonder if perhaps she's actually not going to go get the cub and then bring her to maybe to a kill, because I know that Tristan mentioned that she was busy hunting yesterday and doing all sorts of attempts on was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Time has a funny way of flying by. Now, I'm not too sure where I'm going to be able to find an easy way out of here, because they're going into, it's so much easier being a leopard than a Land Rover sometimes. But we will carry on. Just come towards Philemon's cut line. They're gonna pop out there. Alright, sorry. Just trying to direct people onto the area that they're heading off to. It seems like Shadow's a bit tired now because she's panting quite a bit. But she's gonna carry on moving. Standing by. Standing by for you, Herbie. Alright, maybe not. Beautiful girls. Alright, so we're gonna carry on here because I'm hoping this is the easiest way out of here. Although I see a very big log in the way. Whew. I think we're gonna be lucky, Senzo. The cub is still also happy to find its mother. Now, they keep walking and stopping, so I'm sure Shadow's a bit tired. I think even though it doesn't seem to be the worst possible injury, it does take a little bit of strain to walk all the way from wherever she is directing the cub to go get the cub and then come all the way back. So hopefully she'll be taking us to some very nice spot. And there she goes. I'm gonna give it to her for trying so hard, even with the limp. I think Shadow gets a lot of brownie points. And there's a cub running, trotting away. Someone's full of energy. I think I hear some hyenas in the distance. As you see, Shadow's just she also heard it, and I think it's quite far, so I wonder if perhaps she is actually not taking us back to a kill, or, well, not really us, but the cub. And maybe that hyena just gave her a bit of a warning, because as soon as she heard it, she also stood still, raised her head, and carried on listening. So there are all sorts of dangers involved, not only in the ones they're feeding on top of the kill, but getting from point A to point B, because they could very well, or she could very well go and get the cub, and by the time she gets back, there are lions or another leopard, or who knows what else around there. Alright. Are you gonna head to the road? Because if you did, that would be amazing. Alright. Let's see around here. Whoop. Whoop. Rex, Rally Rex. By the Misikaya, the old Misikaya. There, you can see them from here. Alright, perfect. Now we've managed to direct people in here. And then, oh, somebody's tired, going for a bit of a rest. Are you going to stay around there for a while, girl? So that we can have another look. So you see, she's still very hot, although like I said, it's a very nice afternoon. There's a nice breeze, but obviously she's been walking quite a bit. So a lot of panting going on to try and cool herself down, to put her body temperature to a more acceptable level. And then, well, obviously always keeping an eye out on the cub, which I've actually lost in amongst all of this grass and all of this scenery.
Something that the cub is eating.
Oh, the cub is eating. They've got to kill. Yes. Sorry. All right. Let's go have a bit of a look. Amazing. Woohoo! It seems like she managed to kill a steenbok. All right. I want to try and get to a point where we're not going to be too much of a problem. Senza, can you get them from in front of me? Because I don't want to disturb them too much, but I want to make sure that they also get a bit of a view. If you go around here, park there, you'll be able to see them. Alright, well, how amazing is this? I think this is proper proof that Shadow has been trying very, very hard and doing a wonderful job, because all of her hunting and gallivanting last night actually paid off, because she did manage to make a kill. It seems to be a steenbok by the looks of it. So even if it's a small antelope, it's good for her. I think she's a bit upset now. What is... Yes, it does seem like a little steenbok, and this little cub is definitely very happy to be feeding upon the kill. How beautiful is this? My goodness, Shadow. So many brownie points for you. You've done a very wonderful job. Now, I think I'm gonna switch my radio up, considering that I've got very capable people around me. Just so that there's a little bit less voices in my head. Hello. So actually, no wonder she lay down and she was so happy here. And I'm very happy for your vantage point, Senzo, because otherwise I think maybe we would have driven a bit too close to the kill, because we obviously want to give them a bit of space so that they don't feel uncomfortable with us and they're happy about it. I think Shadow's probably very tired, and it doesn't seem like there's been a lot that's been eating. By the looks of it, she's just taken a lot of the hair out, perhaps maybe opened it around, but lots and lots of food. And for this tiny little cub is still quite a very nice big meal. So you see now she's tilted her head, using her back teeth as a scissor to try and open up the kill and get to the meaty part. Well, I think Mom's helped you. And Elle, you're wondering, when will the cub get a name? Where normally cubs get their names when they're about a year old, just to make sure that they have been around for long enough. But it depends also whoever it is that you ask, because a lot of people prefer to name the cubs after. There's a lot of how can I call it, superstition among some of the rangers, that they prefer just to call them after they become independent, so not to jinx them. But I would assume that she would just get a name when she's about a year old, just to make sure that everything's fine and that she's actually survived probably what is or could be the toughest year of her life, which is actually also the first one. That's beautiful. Suze, you're saying that the cub needs to eat up before the hyenas come and take it away. Well, it is quite funny now that we know that there was a kill here. No wonder why Shadow stopped a little bit before we got here, and then she started hearing around. Also likely she knew that the kill was here already, clearly, which we didn't. But she just stops and takes a moment to listen, and I'm sure the cubs went off trotting about because it could already smell it. So it just proves that how much more enhanced their senses are when compared to ours. They can see, they can smell, they can hear a lot of things that we don't. Which always makes me feel like a bit of a subspecies. And them like the real powerful creatures around the planet. I am so happy that she's actually eating. I don't think I could have expected anything better on the first day back. I'm actually so happy to see Shadow. I said to Tristan, I was like, oh, I would really like to see Shadow and the cub. Woohoo! Hopefully she'll be able to have this kill around here. Not too many, well, Shadow is not really known for hoisting or putting her kills up on trees, and it's a relatively small kill for what it could be. Now the cub is not too happy. Mom's getting up. Is maybe Mom gonna come and have a bite? Pride Cat Mama, you're wondering how the cats remember where they left their kill. Well, animals have very good memories. Perhaps we all know about how wonderful and how amazing the elephant's memory is. So they're probably the ones that have, or most studies have been done, but they can all remember. It's not like they do something and they don't remember what they've done, or who they've seen, or where they've grown up, or anything like it. So I'm sure she roughly knew, likely she didn't know the exact tree where she left it down, but she roughly knew, well, I left it somewhere around here. So once she gets closer to the area, she'll be able to pick it up by smell or even by sight. And even if it's hidden and we cannot see it properly, their vision is slightly different from us. It's more, it's able to pick up more detail than what we do. So maybe something that's odd, and obviously ones that you know that what you're looking for, it's a bit easier to find it out there in the bush. And I think the cub, though, he found it by smell, because once we got here, it was just so happy and it trotted off, and I thought maybe it was playing with something, but obviously food was there. So that is the best thing that could have happened to it, and now she is busy being a little glutton, and she's going to eat it all until her belly is very fat and round and she cannot walk. Or at least I hope that's what they do. Because it's very nice seeing that she's actually doing so well. Now, if you see around the patches of the steenbok, you can see there are some patches where the hair is missing, so that was probably Shadow, or, well, not probably, very likely Shadow, just taking some of the hair out, just to try to get to the actual skin so that she can start trying to cut up the skin and then get to the meat that's underneath. And I think what happened is, because she spent so much energy hunting and stalking and trying to bring this animal down, because steenboks are very, very fast little creatures, so I don't think it was easy for her. I'm sure she had to be very patient to try and get to this little antelope to get as close as possible, to then pounce on it and then get it. So I'm sure that after making the kill, she rested for a bit, but she also fed off it for a little while, because we can see where the cub is feeding. Clearly, this has not all been made by her in the time that we've been here. So I'm sure Shadow also had a bit of a bite, and now she's gone. She's fetched the cub, she's brought it back, and now they're busy eating. I do wonder, though, how far into Little Gowrie they were, because they were quite thirsty. And now Shadow's quite tired. The hardships of being a mom. Richie, you're wondering at what age do the cubs become independent? Well, roughly for leopards, it can be around from 1.5 years to 2. I've even seen sometimes where they hang around their mothers until they're about 3. So I think it's fairly area and personality dependent. Some mothers kick them out earlier, some cubs are independent a little bit earlier, but roughly, I would say 2 years is a good average, 1.5 years, 2 years. Anything that's a little bit less than that forces cubs into independency, like for example the disappearance of Karula and Hosanna and Shungile having to fend for themselves from a young age. And sometimes you get Funny enough, I've seen them mostly with male leopard cubs where they hang around their mothers for quite a long time, even after she's had her litter following that particular one, and they always seem to be very hungry and they always come for the kills. I think maybe they just really want to get an easy meal. Can't really blame them. But yeah, about 2 years. So this little one still has got quite a long time, but even at this age, when the mother leaves her for long periods of time, all of her instincts are there. So she'll start hunting perhaps tortoises or following squirrels or mongoose. So she's already, I wouldn't be surprised if she's already managed to make small kills of her own. I have seen them at such a young age following mongoose, and obviously they're not successful most times. Like more often than not, they will just be spotted, or the animals will fly away or come attacking them and mobbing them. But they do have it in them to start trying from a very young age, and the more they do it, obviously, the more they're going to perfect their hunting skills, and that's what's going to allow them eventually to become independent leopards. Well, I think it's funny, it hasn't been that long, but in 2 months we've seen what a difference it's done to this particular cub. Kristen, you're wondering if the cub is big enough to try and hoist kills up trees. Well, I don't think it would have the experience or the skills more than the strength at this particular age to put it up on a tree. So I think this little one is still, if it's something small like a mongoose or perhaps a bird or a squirrel, very likely especially if it's seen its mom do it, then they'll try their luck and they'll try to do it. But I think in this case, what we're looking at, this particular steenbok, it will be definitely too big. There are no easy trees where I can see where a cub would be able to hoist in. Maybe Shadow's also going to come for a bite. So I think practice makes perfect. She is still a little bit young to be able to do that, but with smaller things, yeah, why not? I'm sure she would be able to put a squirrel up a tree. Now there's a bit of aggression there. She doesn't want to share her kill with mom. Look at all that hissing. Shadow, what you doing? I think she wants to eat. Seems like Taylor has found one of my ultimate favorite animals in all of Africa. So let's go over to her and find out what beautiful creature she's found while Shadow and the cub decide what they want to do. It does sound like a bit of a tragedy, Jamie. Although, well, it is a bit of a tragedy for the steenbok, but I think it's a very nice story for beautiful Shadow and her cub. I think that's the wonderful thing about creatures out here in the wild. Like, obviously we stress because we get emotionally attached to them and we don't want them to suffer, and I think it's a very human response, just being able to have this empathy towards other species. But I think it speaks wonders for them, just how resilient they are. You can never write any of these animals off. Like, even with Shadow's very bad limp, look at her. She's even still providing for her cub, which I think is a wonderful thing. So beautiful. I think she wants to feed, and I think she's moved a little bit closer to the cub because she's also now getting a bit hungry. But the cub is not too happy. Look at that growling going on and that hissing. Just straight at the cub. I think Shadow is just, reassuring the little one that she's the one that made the kill and she is going to eat. Stevie, you're wondering if they always let the cub eat first. Well, now that she's brought back the cub likely hasn't fed for a few days. So yeah, she's going to allow the cub to feed first. But also remember, when we got here, she had already fed on the steenbok a little bit. So I think she's probably still very hot. We can see her panting still quite heavily. She went all the way to fetch the cub, came for a drink, and then carried back here. But when she wants to feed, no doubt that she'll lay down the law and tell the cubs, like, no, it's my turn to eat now, so give me the carcass. She is looking so big. Look at that pretty face. So yeah, they do. They're like, when they, just going back to your question, now thinking of all the experience that I've had with mother leopards bringing their cubs back to a kill, often they'll just let them go ahead first, but also on, I would say 98% of the cases where I've seen it, they've also already fed a bit on the carcass, and that's why they've brought them back in and they're happy to have them. But like I said, I think Shadow is working up her appetite. The cub is very skinny, or in the sense that likely she hasn't fed for a few days, or she hasn't had a very good meal in a few days, so she hasn't stopped eating. She's trying to eat as much as she can to try and get as much food in as possible, because, well, the kill is on the ground, so there are other potential creatures that could come and try to get the kill from them. And I'm sure she's just hungry. Who knows, maybe Shadow will be a little bit hungry later, a little bit angry and hungry, and then she'll take the carcass from the cub, or she'll start feeding, and then just move the cub a little bit away. So pretty. Look at that cub. And those pretty paws and the way she already knows what to do. You see, Shadow is still very hot, so I reckon she has actually been walking for quite a bit. Because her panting, it's not, I've actually even put on a jersey. I think that was a bit of optimistic, because now I'm actually very hot, but it just gives you an idea that it's not that hot, so she shouldn't actually still be panting. But I think it's more for the effort of what she's done, of going all the way where she's gone and then come back all the way, and who knows how long she's actually been hunting. Perhaps she's actually been hunting all throughout the day. I'm sure she only made this kill sometime either during midday or the middle of the day after drive, or sometime during the drive, or late during the drive this morning, just judging by how much meat there is and by the state of the little steenbok carcass. Macy, you're wondering until what age talking about hoisting, somebody's being optimistic and putting on a show. So they're nursed until they're about maybe 6-7 months old, and but they are introduced to meat when they're just about a few weeks old. So normally when they're about maybe 6 to 8 weeks old, milk stops being enough, or not being enough for them to be able to grow, so the mothers start introducing them to kills. So either they'll start bringing smaller things to the den site wherever it is that they leave them, or more often than not, once they become a little bit more mobile, when they're about 3 months old or so, then they start moving them around from den site to den site, bringing them to kill sites. And well, it's still happening a few months later. She's left the cubs somewhere that she deems safe, and then she went on hunting, and then her hunting, oh, look at that aggression between the two of them. Definitely having a mother-daughter moment here. And she's gone back to fetch the cub and then brought it all the way back here so that she can feed. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, Mama said it's her turn to eat. Oh, shame, now she's sulking. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, I think, well, it's hard to tell from here, but I think Shadow's actually had a few bites, and now she's just let the cub know. And I wonder if the cub is actually going to go around the other way and come back from the other side of the tree and try her luck again. So obviously Shadow's made this kill, so she also needs to feed from it. Yeah. I would love it if she went all the way around. It would be very funny, just trying to play with Mom and be like, ha! You think that I can't eat from this side. And actually, when she got it and she started moving it, I think she was actually trying to move it away from her mother so she could carry on eating. But it seems like Shadow's being a good mother now, and she's plucking some more of the hair. So I just saw a little bit of fluff coming out of her mouth, and she's carried on eating. Maybe just trying to clean up the hair. So she's moving it around, so she uses her tongue, that's very rough, to try and get all of the hair out so that she can get to the skin a little bit easier, and then obviously start cutting through the skin. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to go around or where she is, because there are quite a few stumps, and it's quite a secluded spot, and very likely that's the reason why she chose this particular spot to leave the kill. Also, I don't think she killed this steenbok too far from here. but it would prove quite difficult for us to try and get there, and I think we would disturb them more than anything, which I don't really want to do. I think that she's done a very good job, so rather not get in her way. Are you going to move the kill now? Maybe she want to teach the cub a lesson and just take it away. Be like, you don't want to share, you don't get dinner. Beard, you are wondering if hoisting is an instinct or if it's learned behavior from the cubs, seeing that Shadow normally doesn't hoist her kills. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a lot of instinct, but it's also learned behavior, because we know her sister Tandy does hoist her kills quite often. So, well, at least as far as I know. So if I'm being wrong, please correct me using the hashtag #SafariLive. But as far as I know, Shadow is very well known for never hoisting her kills, and I think that's just something very particular about her, but it's also area dependent. So animals learn very quickly by experience that if they put their kills, or animals, leopards, that if they put them up trees, and that they won't have to worry too much about other potential predators coming and stealing their kill. But in areas, for example, where you don't have many hyenas, there are less leopards that will hoist their kills, and it's widely documented. In this particular area, because we have the numbers of hyena that we do, often you'll see that they'll put them up in the tree. So I think it will be quite interesting later on to actually see if the cub does decide to be like its mother, and it learns that, well, you know, if my kill just gets stolen, I'll just go and make a new one. Or if it'll actually try and be more like its grandmother, and perhaps even like its aunt and distant relatives in the same lineage, to try and put them up trees. Because I'm sure eventually Shadow will like put something up there and then just show her. But they're very protective of their kill, so I think perhaps instinct plays a bigger part, and then just experience from there. I think she's just crushing bone now. Beautiful. Seems like Taylor McCurdy is having a lot of fun today out in the Masai Mara, just as we are with this beautiful two girls. So it seems like she's got an odd combination of creatures. A very big one and some very, very lazy ones. So let's go over to her and find out who the real king of the jungle is.
Let me know.
Yes, we are still looking at this beautiful leopard, still feeding. But she has actually been kind enough to turn around, and she's not giving us a bum look anymore. Now we can actually see her head. But talking about heads, we were having a discussion because we can't quite figure out where the head of the steenbok has gone off to. So we think she might actually be feeding close to where the head was, because I see little leaves around that appear to be head, but then I have a closer look and then it's definitely not the head. So they normally start feeding around the stomach or the softer parts, which is normally the bottom side of where the meat is a little bit softer and easier to bite. But I just think that she's actually started around the neck, so I'm a little bit confused about everything that's going on. Hello, beautiful ones. Now, they're still there in Shadow's actually. Oh, every now and again she'll carry on feeding, and then she's fine, and then she goes like this, and then whoops, something sounds, and then she just looks around, makes sure that there's nothing else around her that is not supposed to be there, that could be a potential threat to her, and then she carries on eating. So I think actually she's decided the cub has had enough, and that it is her turn to start feeding. So one of the other vehicles, as you guys can hear, is moving out, so I'm gonna wait for them to reposition, so to see if maybe we can have a bit of a different angle, a different look. Oh, or maybe Shadow's going to be super nice and show us the head of the steenbok, which has become a bit of a mystery right now. There is something, because every now and again I also think that I hear hyenas, so I wonder if perhaps there isn't something that she can hear that's bothering her a little. And funny enough, just for the sake of irony, no, so she actually took the head off. She's actually gone and done the very leopard thing of started eating through the stomach. She hasn't taken the stomach contents out. Perhaps that's what she's trying to do now by breaking it open, and she started feeding on the rump of the steenbok, which is normally softer meat, easier for her and the cub to eat. But I think the real game is on now, and she's going to try to open it up and get the stomach contents out. and then we'll see what she chooses to do, because she's a bit of a uncommon leopard in the way that she treats some of her kills. So a lot of the times what they'll do is when they take the stomach out, either they'll move their kill somewhere else so that the other potential predators cannot smell the kill, or they actually start covering it with grass, which is quite it's quite funny to watch. There we go. I think now she's definitely gotten into it. Now, where? It's funny because we often see the steenboks on drive and we're like, oh, it's such a pretty, cute little animal, you know, it's just a snack for a leopard. But if you think about it, for these two leopards, it's actually quite a nice meal. We'll maintain them and sustain them for a few more days at a time. Now, where is my... Hello, Shadow. She keeps looking in that direction, so I wonder if maybe there's something there. Job, you're wondering if this is Shadow's first cub, that the one that we're seeing with her. No, it's definitely not her first cub. In the time that I've been in the northern Sabi Sand, she's had quite a few, but for one reason or the other, she doesn't seem to be that successful in raising cubs. Sometimes I think some of the elements are against her. I know that there was a suspicion that some of her cubs might have died because they were in a pipe and then there was a flood. And now she's got this little ones, and then it just happens, unfortunately. There's a high mortality for small predators like leopard cubs and lion cubs and even hyena cubs. So I think maybe it's a bit of bad luck. Sometimes their motherhood skills are not the best. But it's been Shadow in particular. It's been a source of ongoing debate. But funny enough, when I first arrived in the northern Sabi Sand, the very first leopard that I saw was Shadow and her older cub, which actually made it to adulthood. That's called, or it's known as Sindile. So she was actually my very first leopard around this area. Her and, well, he was already a sub-adult male leopard, not really a youngster anymore, at least not as small as this one. So, just to go back to your question, no, this is not her first cub. She's had a few in between. But this is her latest or her last litter, and she will be with this little one until either she raises it successfully to adulthood, which we're all hoping for, or if anything should happen to the cub, which we really don't want it to happen, then very likely she'll go back into heat, into estrus, she'll mate again, and then she'll have her next litter of cubs. Now this is getting a bit gruesome because I can see she's pulling out all of the internal organs. I can see a little bit of the intestine, so if this is a bit gruesome for you, please do look away. It is very raw sometimes, and sometimes it's just not the prettiest look. But this is how our animals survive, and feeding off the organs of the animals, it is a crucial part because there are so many, it's a very, how can I put this? It's a very fine balance between how much meat they have to eat, but also how many other ingredients they have to eat, because they need the calcium, they need the phosphorus, they need the gut bacteria. So they have to feed on all these different things just to maintain a healthy condition. Now, the only part that they really will not eat is the stomach or the stomach contents, because it's pretty much grass inside there. But even sometimes, if they're not feeling well or if they're under a stressful dietary situation, then you will see them eating a little bit of the stomach contents as well. And they will, of course, they don't eat the intestines or the inside of the intestines all that much. So now she's busy starting to take some of the organs out. So like I said, if this is a bit too much, please do look away. However, this is how our beautiful creatures do survive out here. And everything is food to them, and everything carries a nutritional value for them. Casson from Denmark, hello. You're wondering how long will this kill keep the two of them fed? Well, if we're lucky and if she doesn't get her kill stolen from anything else, likely she's going to be here tomorrow, I would say, probably in the morning, if they're still very full. But I don't think that this is going to sustain them for more than a day, because it is still a small creature. They managed to hunt one of the smallest, or perhaps the smallest species of antelope we get around here. So while it might be a good meal for the two of them, because they're not, well, the cub is still small and Shadow is not one of the biggest female leopards around here, it won't last them for too long. Oh, I think I finally see the ear of the steenbok. So the head is still there. Oh, is that a leaf? It's an ear. They have put an end to the the head mystery. Now, I think it could be that Shadow was also being a good mother in the sense that she realized the cub doesn't have the strength or the knowledge to open it up and get everything out. So, maybe that's why she decided to take it from the cub. Roshni, you're wondering if the leopards will eat the brain of their prey. Well, some of them do. I've actually seen Tingana do it before with a warthog hen, and there are nutrients everywhere, but it's not that common. Normally they'll prefer to feed on other things and won't really try to get through the skull because it's a lot of effort trying to opening the skull, and then they will leave it and feed off the rest of it. But having said that, it's also not uncommon or unheard of them actually feeding on the brain. I think the cub at the back is getting a little bit hungry. We see its head poking from behind the tree every now and again. I think she can also smell that there are a lot of... Hello, beautiful. There are a lot of organs. There's a lot more blood out there, so I'm sure she can smell it and she's curious and she wants to have a bit of a bite. But I think Mama Shadow is now claiming all of the food. Are you gonna make your way? Look at all those tiny little spots at the back. She's being very cheeky. I'm sure she's just been like, Mom, I'm hungry. Of course she had to choose the one lug that covers all of her face. Just pretending to be invisible. I'm sure she's learned it from her mother already. Now we can see just how quickly the carcass is going down. Yeah, maybe Shadow will forget that she is there. Now there's not too much, as you can see now that she's finally opened it up. Like we can tell that there's a lot of that was part of the stomach, a lot of the organs, but perhaps not that much meat. And like we said, everything is quite dry around here, so the food sources for all the animals are quite limited. So the animals are not, or the prey species are not as fat, I want to say, as they could potentially be, or not as healthy, not in good condition as they could normally be. So perhaps there's a little bit less meats here that they would find somewhere in other times of the day. Sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm just seeing the cub's face just staring in Shadow's direction. I'm so unimpressed with life right now. She's just like, Mom, honestly. Maybe she's heading into her teenage phase where she just wants to eat. And we can see the sun is finally going down a little bit more. Or, well, starting to disappear behind the clouds. Beautiful setting, this one. This is the very typical sunset. James, you're saying the cub is already showing signs of holding her own because she's a feisty little thing. I agree. She even tried. Unfortunately, she's still a little bit too small, but I think she even tried grabbing that kill and tried to pull it away from Mom because she knew that Shadow was coming back for the kill. So she is definitely trying, which I think it's probably good for her and just shows that she's a very, first of all, very clever little thing, but also very, very strong in the way that she approaches things. So she's not afraid of Mom. It's like, oh, you want to growl? Fine, I'm going to try and take it away from you before you even have a chance. But she is definitely quite an interesting character. Lots of personality coming through those little spots over there hiding behind the tree. Now, I think Shadow means business because she has gone on to feeding again while the sun still shines in the distance. Oh, it is very beautiful. Almost looks like a jungle. Alright, but it seems like Shadow's still trying to get the carcass open. Woo! Look at that. If only Shadow could see it, Senso. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for being grateful for what we've just seen. Like, very nice to see, and I'm sure it puts everyone at ease to know that she's got a kill, and that she's eating, and that the cub is here, and that it's a good family reunion, and that everything seems to be going well for this particular leopard unit. She is definitely trying to get that open. From me or from Lou? I'm a bit confused about the handle. Alright, sorry. Louise was giving me a very strange update or a question, and she was like, question from me, from myself. And I'm like, is that a Twitter handle or is that actually Lou? So Lou is wondering if leopards will hunt bigger things or bigger prey when they've got cubs. Well, they will definitely try to make bigger kills. Like an impala is a very good thing to it, but it also depends on every single individual's limitations. So killing something like an impala or a bigger antelope than a steenbok is first prize, because they'll be able to feed off it for a lot longer and they can both have a very nice meal, and then she won't have to hunt again. But whereas she manages to do that every time she goes hunting, and that's a bit of a debate, because also they are quite opportunistic animals. So if they've got the opportunity to hunt 3 steenbok before they've got the opportunity to actually go and hunt an impala, likely they're going to go for the 3 steenbok because they're an easier kill, because they spend a lot of energy and a lot of time trying to bring every animal down. So I think in Shadow's case, like if she does manage, she will try to go for something larger, but if the opportunity for more smaller things or for smaller things is the one that is presented to her, then that's what she's going to take. I think that it's more of it's not a thought process as in like, if I work a little bit harder but I'll bring an impala down, I'll be able to feed for longer. It's more as in like, what can I hunt or what can I try an approach that I'm going to be able to kill and then for eat. So I think that's more the train of thought for any of these particular predators. But obviously, the smaller the prey, the more often she's going to have to hunt. I do think, however, that she was on an impala kill recently. I remember seeing something on social media, because we follow, obviously, all of the Facebook and Instagrams and Twitters and everything of all the lodges around, just to be able to keep tabs on all the different animals and their movements and what they do and where they go. As they are pretty much the celebrities on our life out here in the bush. We all want to know what they're doing and just know that they're doing well and what's been happening with them. Seems like these beautiful girls are gonna still be here